stepmother's husband, Dwayne Werner, for the return of her '94 Pontiac Grand Prix and her personal property.
Ms. Knighton, according to what I read in your complaint, you've known the defendant from some convoluted family relationship for several years. You were the owner of a truck. He was the owner of a car. According to you, he wanted a truck, you wanted a car, and your cars and trucks were comparably valued. So you decided to switch. And before any paperwork could be done, your truck was stolen and burned to a crisp. So Mr. Werner came back and took his car.
No.
That's what you say.
Yes.
Mr. Werner says no, you had merely borrowed his car, and while you had talked about this deal, you never really culminated by formally agreeing to exchange property. That's your defense. Is that right, Mr. Werner?
Yes, ma'am.
What year truck did you have?
90.
I'd like you to keep your voice up because I'm old, and I would like to be able to hear you without straining myself.
It was a 1990.
What kind of a truck was it?
A Toyota 4Runner.
And what kind of car did you have, sir?
I had a '94 Pontiac Grand Prix. It was a G-Unit Special Edition.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Werner?
I'm on disability right now.
What's the nature of your disability?
My knee and depression.
How long have you been receiving disability?
About a year, probably.
Prior to that, what kind of work did you do?
Roofing and sheet metal.
Who do you live with?
My wife and my daughter.
And you?
Nowhere right now because I lost my job because of this incident.
Where were you working before this incident happened?
I it was not I worked for my boyfriend's mother. Pretty much. It was like a part-time
I
receptionist.
never knew she had a job, you know. She's always borrowing money from me every time I seen her.
Okay, now, so that's this case, Ms. Knighton. So why don't you tell me about it? When did you make this exchange?
Actually, we were talking about it before he had went on a trip, and we were talking.
Where did he go on a trip?
He went to Oregon.
For what?
I don't really know.
Where'd you go to Oregon for?
I had to go see one of my friend's sons off. He was going on a trip.
How'd you get there?
Airplane.
Go ahead.
And we were talking, and I wanted to sell my vehicle. And he was talking how he wanted a truck, and I wanted a car. So he eventually was like, you know, we can just trade vehicles because...
Just a second. When did you have this discussion?
Probably about 2 weeks before the incident happened. I don't know the exact date.
Don't interrupt her. I'm going to give you a chance. Tell me about the exchange.
We just pretty much just...
Did you go to his house? Did he
Yeah.
go to your house?
Well, I went to his house, frankly, because of my little brother and sister that lived there, and, you know, I'd helped them clean their house, and therefore we talked about it.
I asked you how your truck got to his house.
I drove it.
And did you give him the keys?
Yes, we exchanged keys and...
When you left, did you leave your truck there?
Yes.
Where did you leave it parked?
Just in his driveway.
Then what happened?
Pretty much nothing for a couple days, and then I was notified by the police that my car was found down in R7 where...
You mean your truck?
Yeah, my truck. I'm sorry, I call it a car sometimes. But it was found and it was burnt, and therefore I got a hold of him, and we called, you know, to try to see if he knew what happened. You know, he said he didn't know what happened. I went and picked him up in the car that I had that was, you know, that we traded, and we called the police station and we asked if we need to make a report, and they said no. I mean, that was weird, but they said no. And 3 days later, his wife came over to the place I was staying and stole the vehicle back from me.
How do you know it was his wife?
Because I saw her.
What did you do, just come over and...
She just got in the car. I heard somebody pulling out the driveway, and I opened the door because I was getting ready to go somewhere, and she was taking off in it. And then I had called him, and I said, you know, it's okay, you can have the car. I just want my personal property back out of the vehicle. And he was like, you know, you'll get it back, and I never got it back.
Well, what personal property did you want out of the car?
Well, I had pictures of my deceased mom in there. I had clothes and...
Where's her stuff?
I never even talked to her.
He gave it
she
to
left
this
a message on my cell phone about her stuff, and she said, I called the police and told them all about this operation you have down there and all this stuff.
What operation?
I don't know. All I know is if I've had more police trouble since then, this whole thing has been nothing but trouble for me, man.
Tell me about when her truck was left in your driveway and she took your Pontiac.
Well, she was talking to me when she called me in Portland and told me that she wanted to trade. She said she'd give me $200 a month forever, how long I wanted and all that, which is unrealistic because, like I said, I had to loan her money every time I seen her anyway.
So, what did you say to her?
I told her I'd talk to her about it for a while. I guess the police came to my house.
What do you mean she took it around and drove it around? You guess?
I guess she drove it around. I mean,
Well,
she took
she
the car. I
had
don't
the
know what
car,
she did
sir.
with it.
How
Yeah.
did she get the keys to the car?
I don't remember. I mean, it
Well,
might have
you
been
did-
in it, or I
listen.
might have given to her. I don't know.
Listen, she had the car for at least several days.
Yes.
Didn't you miss it?
Yes, I did.
Did you call the police?
No, I knew she had the car
Well, how did you know she had the car?
because she took it.
Well, then she must have taken it with your permission.
Yes.
There we go. That's what I'm asking you. Tell me about that.
She took the car. And the police came to my house, and they searched everything, and they found drugs in her car, they said.
You're getting ahead of yourself, Mr. Werner.
Okay.
How many vehicles do you have, sir?
Right now, about 3, probably.
How many working vehicles did you have on the day that she came and took your Pontiac?
Couple.
Don't answer me in a glib way.
2.
What were they?
Red Thunderbird and a white Grand Prix.
Red Thunderbird?
Yes.
Who drove that?
My wife.
And a white,
Grand Prix.
who drove that car?
I did.
So this Pontiac was an extra car.
Well, it was my car.
Well, now you have 2 cars. You have no job and 2 cars. What do you need 2 cars for if you're on disability? You can't get around much with a bad knee. All right, very easy. I find that the parties agreed to make a sale, that they agreed to make a barter sale, and that barter was they were going to barter for each other's cars. There was no exchange of money. The issue is whether or not there was a contract. And the contract was made at the time, I believe you, that he agreed to take your truck because he didn't have a truck, and he wanted a truck because he already had a car, and you wanted a car because you were tired of driving around. I'm speaking. Tired of driving around in your truck, you wanted a car. That contract was consummated when you actually made the physical exchange of the property, despite the fact that the title had not been transferred to either of the vehicles. So we have a Blue Book value on a 1994 Pontiac, please.
Your Honor, that's not a truck, what she has anyway. It's more like a big station wagon.
What difference does it make? It's burned.
It's an SUV.
What do you think?
What condition?
Perfect.
You want to take his word for it?
I take his word for it. He says it was in perfect condition.
Has here $4,225.
Well, that's what he says. Plaintiff's damages, you're suing for $3,000. That's the maximum permitted in your court. Is that correct? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Landlord Suzanne Brown says plumber Anthony Chance harassed her and her tenants after she refused his professional services.
Miss Brown, you own a building,
Yes, I do.
and one of your buildings had a leak. According to your complaint, you looked in the yellow pages and you found a plumber, the defendant, and asked him to go over and take a look and see what the problem was. So far, is that about right?
That's right.
He went over there and he called you and he told you what he thought the problem was and what it would take to fix it.
That's correct.
You paid him for his service call. You eventually found somebody else to fix the problem, paid him less money. And it is your claim that because Mr. Chance was angry that he didn't get the job, he harassed you in a vindictive way by going over and frightening your tenants, telling them that things were dangerous as a result of the shoddy workmanship that was being done in their building. Now, when did you have a leak in your building?
That was July 17th.
Who had a leak in their apartment?
Terry James.
Step up. Miss James, tell me what happened in your apartment on the 17th of July.
I had a leak by the bedroom window.
Near the bedroom window.
Yeah, down by the floor, by the baseboard.
Had it been raining that day?
Nope. But the lawn man had watered and watered and watered, and he had forgot to leave the water on.
So it was clear water that was coming through.
Yes,
And you called the landlord.
yes.
All right, is that what brought you to the apartment, Mr. Chance?
No, it's not.
Well, what brought you to the apartment, sir?
Well, Suzanne Brown gave us a call on the 17th, and we went out to the property and did an inspection of the property. When we entered the tenant's unit, we found that the tub was full of sewage. There was about...
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Shh, just a second. The bathtub
The bathtub
was full of sewage.
was full of sewage.
Is that right?
No, not
That's a
full of
lie.
sewage.
Is that right?
That's a lie. That's a lie. There was no sewage in the tub at all. He wasn't even the man that came out. The man that came out, he ain't even here, I guess.
Really?
The man that came out walked around the house, went around to the front, got on the phone and called this man.
Did he come at that point?
No, he didn't. He never showed up. He showed
Not
up.
that day.
No.
Is that right, sir?
I was there on the 17th of July. I did not go in her unit. But I was
Just a
at the
minute.
house.
So you didn't go into her unit?
I did not.
So you didn't see anything in her unit on the 17th of July?
I saw sewage all around the perimeter of the outside of the building. I
You
didn't
did
see
not go into her unit on the 17th?
I did not.
Good. Do you have a copy of the receipt that you got?
Yes, I
from
do.
his company?
He sent that to me.
Okay. They say that in the front unit, they have water standing in the tub. Someone has inserted the word sewer water standing in the tub in this. This is the way you received it?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, when did you call somebody else? On what date?
I had actually called, there's a plumber that I always use. I had actually called him. The problem was that when I found out about the leak, it was a Sunday, and he wasn't available, and I wasn't sure how big it was, and I wanted to fix the
Is
issue.
this your regular plumber?
Yes.
Sit down. Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
My name's Mike Howard.
How long have you been working for the plaintiff?
Oh, probably since about '02.
You familiar with this unit?
Yes.
When did you go out to the unit?
The day after, the Monday.
Tell me what you found when you went out there on the 18th of July.
The water from the sprinklers had went over the foundation.
Your Honor.
Where had it entered the home?
It had came up over the foundation and ran into the area that was wet.
Carpeting wet?
Yes.
Around the baseboards?
Yes.
Did you find anything else wrong with the house?
The bathtub had about, I'd say about 1.5 inches of water in it that just wouldn't drain.
So the water that was standing in the tub was water that had been standing there because of a clogged drain.
Correct.
What did you use to clean out the drain?
Snake.
How much did you charge the plaintiff to do the whole job?
$2,500.
What did you charge her the $2,500 for?
We dug a place approximately 2 foot wide around the perimeter of the home. It was 90 foot long, and we poured concrete in there.
And what was that supposed to do?
It stopped the water from entering the home at the foundation.
You mean from the sprinkler system?
It was just a hose, but yeah.
What was the estimate that the defendant gave you to fix the problem?
The defendant told me it would be $45,000 for him to come in and dig out the entire concrete floor, and that my tenants would have to evacuate the premises. And the problem was that nobody had actually done any tests. The defendant never actually did any tests. All they did was walk the perimeter of the property. And actually, he didn't even do that. He had someone else do that. And came to the conclusion that it would be $45,000, that I needed to call my insurance company and make sure that I had him there, because the insurance company might not believe me, and that all three of us could meet and he could convince them that this is what needed to be done and get them to pay for it.
Now, after you decided not to hire him and you decided to hire Mr. Howard,
Correct.
tell me what you claim he did to harass you and your tenants.
Well, on that Monday, when he had gone out and he had started working on it, when I came back that night, I had received numerous calls from Terry James, and I had 2 messages from Tony Chance. The first one said, I tried to run your credit card for the $69 service charge, and either you gave me the wrong number or I wrote it down wrong, and you really need to give me a call as soon as possible, otherwise we're going to have problems. The second message I got said that, I still haven't heard from you. You must be avoiding me. And by the way, I happened to go out to the property today, and I saw that you had some repairs going on there, and I just want to let you know that that was a really bad move on your part, and that now I'm going to have to contact the Sacramento Housing Authority and let them know what's going on over there. I'm going to put a full written report together to turn you in. And so to me, it was obviously, he was vindictive. I couldn't believe the message that I got. I was completely freaked out, and Terry said that he had been by there.
Don't.
Okay.
Step up. You could sit down. Did Mr. Chance come back to the house?
Yes, he came back on Monday.
He spoke to you?
Yes, he did.
What did he say to you?
Oh, my God. What is this? You mean to tell me they put concrete around the house? The sewage problem is not done. The pipes is busted. You guys are going to die. You guys need to get out right now. You guys should vacate the place. You guys mean to tell me you're not out of there? And then he came back on Tuesday and scared my son. Had my son all upset. Talking about we should have been out of there. We going to die. We go to sleep. We going to die. We should have been moved out of there.
Okay. Since July 18th or 19th, have you had any other problems in your home?
No, I haven't.
Any other water?
Nothing's wrong.
Are you friendly with the other tenants?
Yes, I am. Very friendly.
Anybody else have any water problems that you know of?
Nobody has any problems on the property.
I guess you were wrong.
I don't think so, Your Honor.
I guess you were wrong. Did you write a report to any housing authority with regard to what you found?
No, I did not.
Ms. Brown says that that's what you threatened to do. Is that what you threatened to do, Mr. Chance?
I never threatened to do anything.
Did you indicate that that's what you were going to do?
No, I did not.
What did you say?
I said specifically that I had already called the health department due to the fact that there was still a dangerous issue out at her property.
When had you called the health department?
I called them Monday night when I drove by the property and saw that concrete had been poured over the top of the sewage on the outside of the building.
Mr. Chance, but you were wrong, sir, because we've had 5 months since you were there, and no problem.
They've taken care of the symptoms, but the problem still exists. And the problem at the property that they have there is the drains underneath the footing were leaking substantially and had been that way for a long time.
What tests did you do, specifically, what tests did you do on the 17th when you were there to test that?
I've got phone records with me showing that I was on my phone with my service tech who was on the job.
What tests did you do? Not your technician. If you call the health department, I would say that you don't rely on a technician. You go out there yourself before you make the call.
I did.
The very next day. So I'm asking you, what tests did you personally do? Make sure you give me an answer that I'm going to be comfortable with, Mr. Chance.
I personally didn't do any tests.
That's what I thought. Now, did you ever give Miss Brown a quote of $45,000 to fix the problem?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Did you ever say to Miss Brown that she should contact her insurance company?
I may have mentioned that, yes.
And that you should be there when the insurance company adjuster comes to look at the problem?
I advised her that that would be a good idea.
And are you telling me that you didn't give her a ballpark figure about what the problem would cost to rectify?
No, I didn't, Your Honor. I told her we needed to do tests to determine where the problem was at.
Oh, so if you're telling her you needed to do tests to determine where the problem was, why did you call the health department?
Well, we knew that there was a problem. We didn't know which bathroom was leaking or where the problem was at underneath the slab because the whole area underneath the house was saturated with sewage.
What made you think, sir, that the whole area under the house was saturated with sewage?
Because my technician went into the other unit, the back unit, and ran a sink for 20 minutes, and the water proceeded to come up in the carpets in the front bedroom of the front unit, which indicates a backed up sewer main.
And you think that that just happened once, sir?
I went by the job on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Because Suzanne had agreed to meet me there Sunday night.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in front of the property. I did not go in either of the units, but I saw the sewage around the perimeter of the building. I sat there for maybe 5 minutes, and then Suzanne called me and said, "I'm sorry, but something's come up. I can't meet you. I'll have to do it on Monday." So I left the property, but at that point, I was able to witness the wet sewage all the way around the outside footing, and it definitely was not.
What made you think it was wet sewage, sir?
Based on the description that my technician gave me while he was in the home.
Mr. Chance, you want to know what I think, sir?
What?
I'm going to tell you what I think. I think that you were really annoyed with Miss Brown because she decided not to use you to fix this major problem and did you out of a really expensive job. Because he came out and said he ran a snake in the tub, the water went down, and she's had no more problems. 5 months later, your technician, Zippo, nothing, left the standing water in the bathtub and did nothing. What you did was you decided this was a big job. The entire foundation of this house had to be ripped up. Call your insurance company and let them know. All has to be redone. And then somebody else came and did it, and you were annoyed. And you didn't call the health department until after you were advised that she had gotten somebody else to fix what she perceived to be the problem or what she was told by a professional was the problem. That's vindictive, sir. What else?
I actually ended up filing a police report against him because I became scared. It's like he turned into this psycho plumber. And
he was just annoyed. It was a $45,000 job that went out the window because you got somebody with a snake to fix the problem.
Judy, could I have some evidence?
My friends call me by my first name. Now, what I don't understand, Mr. Chance, is I absolutely believe Mr. Howard when he says he went to the premises the next day, took a snake, put it in the bathtub, snaked out the bathtub, the water went down, and I absolutely believe Miss Jones when she says she has not had a problem since. What I don't understand is how come your technician went into the house, saw standing water, and didn't take a snake to try to get it to go down, yet went into another unit, a unit that they had not called to complain about, let the water run in that unit to come up with the story, instead of doing the first thing that I would do as a plumber and say, gee, I see this standing water. Let me see if I can get it to go down. Do you understand what I'm saying to you, Mr. Chance?
I understand.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. You did the wrong thing. It's going to cost you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused.
James White's fiancée Karen Rundell owes for a loan to retain a lawyer. Karen says she gave her paycheck to James the entire time they lived together.
Mr. White, you and the defendant lived together, according to the complaint that I've read, for a period of time. And it is your claim that during that time you made a loan to her in the amount of $5,000 as a retainer for an attorney because she was having some legal problems. The defendant says that while she acknowledges that you wired the money into a joint bank account that you had for the attorney, that money was paid back because all that money that was in the joint bank account was put in by both of you subsequently. So the money was repaid.
In my opinion, yes, it was.
When did you start living together, Mr. White?
We started living together in April of '04.
How long had you known each other before you moved in together?
I knew of her approximately a year prior to that.
What does that mean?
Well, I was best friends with her brother and basically met her through her brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you moved in together in April of 2004, did you move into her place, your place, or a mutual place?
My place.
And, Your Honor, it was July of '04.
She's probably right, Mr. White.
Yeah, we had a birthday party for me in April, so yeah, then it was shortly after that. That's correct.
What was the financial arrangement when she moved into your house?
Financial arrangement, we really didn't establish any. I paid my bills and she paid her bills. She did insist that she put her check into my checking account. That didn't have anything to do with this particular item.
Just a second.
Yeah.
She put her paycheck into your checking account.
That's correct.
How much was your paycheck, Ms. Rundell?
$16.88 a month. And it was not a joint checking account. It was his checking account. I did not have access to that account in any way.
When did you make your first deposit into his checking account of $16.88?
I believe it would have been the month of July. I moved in roughly maybe the second week in July after we'd returned from vacation.
So let's be on the safe side. Let's say August.
That would be safe to say.
And how many months did you put your paycheck into that joint account?
Every month.
Until when?
Until January. My paychecks ended in January. Unemployment
August,
started.
September, October, November, December. 5 months.
And January.
And January.
Correct.
So it's 6 months, and that's easily verifiable by looking at your bank statement.
No, I don't agree with her putting that much money in there. She didn't have any credit, so she was using my bank to cash her checks. I wasn't aware that she was putting that money into my checking account every time.
This is a savings account statement right here. I could have put it in my savings had I been allowed to. This shows that there was no money that went into this account until a tax return was automatically deposited in the month of March.
Do you have your bank statement, sir?
No, ma'am, I don't. I just have a check that I had wrote her. I didn't even know she had a savings account.
I don't care whether you knew she had a savings account or not, sir. You get a checking account statement every month.
Correct.
And every month you would see a deposit in there.
Right.
And that deposit would not be your deposit. I mean, we know what
Correct.
our deposits are. So she
Correct.
was depositing her check into your account. And that account would also show certain withdrawals if she was using your checking account as merely just a revolving door for her money. She was putting it in and cashing it.
She was putting her check into my checking account during the beginning of her stay at my place, and then we were using my check to write checks for all the bills.
It was not in name a joint account, but it was a joint account because that money was being used to pay joint bills.
Correct.
$16.88 per month.
Correct.
Are you chewing gum?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let us assume everything that you say is correct, that for 6 months you put in months.
Yes.
That comes to $10,128. Now, why did you need an attorney?
I had filed a police report as a mandatory reporter with the police department there locally where I live.
Is it a criminal matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Is the matter still pending?
Yes, ma'am.
And you retained a private attorney?
Correct.
And you discussed that with Mr. White?
Correct.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, I had no knowledge of her making this report.
I don't care about the substance of the case.
Okay.
The need for an attorney, something else.
Correct. We did discuss the need for an attorney, and it was important that she hired a good one for this situation.
So what did you say to her?
So we made arrangements to lend her $5,000 off my credit card.
That's a conclusion, sir.
We had talked about this and discussed we needed to retain $5,000 for this attorney, and we decided to take this off of a credit card that I have. I had no credit card debts at all. One of the qualities she talked about with me is that I wasn't in any debt. This was a special occasion that I needed to help her out on, so I decided to take a credit card, dump the credit card into my checking account, and give her a check on November 28th for $5,000. She told me when she got her income tax that she would give me half of it in one lump sum and make payments on the rest, and I was fine with that.
That is not true.
Well, tell me what the discussion was, Ms. Rundell.
The discussion, there was never a discussion around the credit card, just like there wasn't a discussion about how we were going to pay our bills when the money was lumped together in the checking account. What we had discussed on many different occasions was how we were going to use the money wisely. This chunk of money, which would have been around $6,000 for the tax return, what were we going to do with it?
You were going
many
to
different. I was talking. On many different occasions, we talked about different things. We talked about we would take a trip, but not too far. Didn't want to spend too much money. We talked about paying a big chunk of it to Bank One credit card, which the attorney came off of. We also talked about paying off his Washington state unemployment money that he still owed when I moved in was $4,000. It was down to $1,500. We wanted to eliminate that payment each month.
All right, let's get back to talking a little bit turkey, Ms. Rundell. It is your defense that you put in your check into the account and you were living like a married couple.
Correct.
And when you moved in together in July, it was your intention that your money be spent on household bills.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't need an attorney until what month?
October.
That's not a household bill. So that what it really did was cut your participation in the household bills in half. Because if you deposited $10,000 into this account to pay for your expenses during the course of that 6 months, madam, and you withdrew $5,000 out of it for your own personal use, then it's very possible that Mr. White is correct, that it was anticipated that you would be repaying this account when you got your tax return.
It wasn't repaying that account. The tax return coming in and was going to be used to pay bills wisely, not just on a credit card. This has nothing to do with paying back the credit card. It has to do with Mr. White and his continued abuse and harassment that has not stopped and will not stop.
It will stop when he gets his money back.
That's right.
Trust me, it won't stop.
There isn't a question in my mind that we probably wouldn't be here having this discussion if the two of you were still together. Because if you were still together, you would be continuing to contribute your $16.88 a month into this account. And eventually, this $5,000 would be paid back from payments to the credit card. But you're not together anymore. And Mr. White feels as if he's a fool because he had this outlay of money, and now you're not together anymore. You got your tax return back. There was discussion about paying back this, whatever, Capital One card or whatever it is. Some of the money that he gave you to pay your lawyer. You're still using the services of the lawyer, correct?
Correct.
Have you given the lawyer any more money?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you're still living off of that $5,000. And he says, minimally, our agreement was that she was going to continue to put her $16.88 into the account so we could at least pay the lawyer back from that money. That stopped. Listen, you want him to leave you alone?
I do.
Pay him his money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You messed up.
Victoria Klaus says former tenant Kelly Stafford moved out owing for rent. Victoria also claims Kelly vandalized the home.
Ms. Klaus, you own a rental property, and the defendant was a tenant of yours for, according to your complaint, about 5 years.
Yes, she was a former friend first and then tenant.
But she was a paying tenant for 5 years. What was the rent on the house?
$630 a month.
Nope. No.
What was the rent?
It started out at $590, and then it went up halfway through the 5 years to $620.
Well, that's not much of an increase over the course of 5 years. It is your claim that when she left, she owed you some rent, and also that when you went there after she moved out, the place was a disaster.
Yes.
Costing thousands of dollars in renovations.
Yep.
Ms. Stafford says that she left in mid-April of this past year. She, in fact, gave you rent for half the month of April in cash, and that she left the house in fine condition. She doesn't know what happened, but certainly she left the house in fine condition. When did you pay your rent, Ms. Stafford? At the beginning of each month?
Yeah.
That's not true, Your
Just
Honor.
a second. Don't interrupt when I'm asking her questions. And you paid, according to you, in the last part of the tenancy, $620 a month.
Yes.
How much money did you give Ms. Klaus for April?
$310.
Well, you can't do that.
Okay.
You have to pay for a month's rent. If you choose to move out in the middle of the month, that's your prerogative. But you can't pay for a certain number of days unless you have a previous agreement to do that.
And we did. We talked at the end of March. I told her that I would be moving on the 15th, and she said, "You're kind of leaving me in a jam. That's not fair."
She's absolutely right.
Right. And I told her, and I said, you
Well,
know,
she's
but there's
absolutely
nothing
right.
I can
You
do.
won't
I
believe
said I
it.
can do
Shh,
what
I'm speaking. Don't speak over me. You told her at the end of March you were going to be moving out April 15th, so you gave her no notice.
There was no lease.
But you gave her no notice after. Okay. So let us say I believe you that you gave her $300 in cash. Did she give you $300 in cash?
Yep.
Then you owe her $320.
I gave her $310.
Okay, then you owe her $310.
Already.
Because you can't dictate to her that you're going to be moving out at the middle of the month and you only owe half a month's rent. You owe the entire month's rent.
Okay, because she told me that she agreed to that. That would be fine.
I don't believe that at all. I didn't even have to ask her.
Okay.
Once she says you're leaving me in a lurch by giving me no notice at the end of March, she's not going to say, well, I'm going to be real nice to you. You only have to pay me for half a month.
Okay.
Try to play it straight with me, Miss Stafford. I'll be much more amenable to listening to what you have to say about the destruction of the house if you don't fib at the very beginning.
I'm not fibbing.
Yeah, sure you are. Because something doesn't make sense, it's not true.
Okay.
And if you call a landlord, but you've been a rent-paying customer for 5 years, and you say, I'm not giving you any notice, I'm not giving you 30 days notice, I'm not giving you 60 days notice, I'm moving out in 2 weeks. And the landlord says to you, gee, that's really not nice of you after all this time. I've been very good to you. I've given you minimal rent increases over the course of the 5 years. You know, you could have at least given me an extra 30 days notice. You're not giving me any notice. And then she's going to turn around and say to you, and you only have to pay me $310. Ridiculous.
Your Honor, she came to me in the beginning of March and told me that she would be selling the house. That's when I started looking for a place to live because I didn't want to be left out without a place to live.
Listen to what you're saying to me. She gave you notice the beginning of March that she will be selling the house. Not that she sold it and you have to be out in 2 weeks. So start to prepare yourself.
Absolutely, and I did. And I asked her how long it takes to sell a house. She said, I will be doing it through a paper where he would be paying my mortgage, and then at the end, I will just sign the house over to him. It wasn't going to be through a whole real estate or nothing like that.
Did she give you an answer about how long it would take?
No, she did not.
Oh, okay. All right, so now we have $310 that she owes for the month of April. Now, what date did you move out, Miss Stafford?
The 15th.
4/15. And you say you left the house in good condition?
I did.
Okay. When did you go to the house?
I went there on Tuesday, the 19th.
You moved out on the 15th. On the 19th, tell me what you saw.
Well, first, can I just step back 2 days? On April 14th at 7:30, we still had not received any rent at all from them. I sent my husband over there at 7:30 at night. She opened up the door to him. He asked her for the rent. She said his exact words were, I'm not sure if I'm paying you. I'll have to wait and talk to my husband because she's mad over whatever rumors she heard, and shut the door in his face. I went there the next day on Saturday to ask for the rent because she said she would only deal with me, not my husband. I went there. And that is when we got into the discussion of why she said she was upset about some rumors that she had heard at a diner that I was working at, and that's why she wouldn't pay me. And I said to her, I said, you can't just get mad at me over rumors, and I'm not going to get into any of that. This is between me and you. The diner is completely separate. I said, I'm not telling you you have to move right away. You know, it's going to be 3 months. By the end of this conversation, it lasted almost 2 hours.
You were in the house?
No, she came outside. She was very, very angry, and I could tell she did not want me inside. But by the end of this conversation, she promised me, she looked me face to face and promised me she would give me 30 days notice and that she would give me the full month's rent. And I never heard from her again until I knew the property was empty. When the property was empty and the cops were there is when I said to her...
What date was that?
The cops were there on the 4/18.
On the 18th?
Yep.
And Miss Stafford was there?
She wasn't there at first when they got there. I was there. I had noticed the damage, all the disgusting stuff that was done inside the house.
So you were actually inside the house on the 18th, not the 19th?
Right. I was inside the house on the 18th. That's what the police report is for.
Okay.
And I went in and I saw all the damage, and first thing I did was call the cops for a police report because the place was...
Can I see it?
...completely trashed. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Okay, so she did in fact pay the $310.
Right.
Because that's what she told the police they would do, and she also agreed to clean up the mess,
Right.
according to the police. Okay, did she clean up the mess?
No, she didn't. She had told me that she would come the next day on Wednesday. She got out of work at, I believe it was 5 or 6. She said she would come over then and help me herself clean it. I said, okay, I'll be over here cleaning anyway. Go ahead and come over. Well, she never came, never showed. I didn't go home until I think like 6:30. She called me and said that she wouldn't be able to come because she had car trouble. I said, okay, you know what, if you want to call me another day, I'll gladly go back over there with you. I don't want anybody there now while I'm not there because of what's already been done. I don't trust anyone else there. But I will go back over there with you whenever you want to clean. And I have not heard from her since to do it.
Do you have photographs of what
Yes,
the
I
place
do.
looked
I have
like?
photographs, I have estimates, I have a video.
First, let's take a look at the photographs.
Would you like the video too?
In a minute. Would you show these to the defendant, please?
It's funny.
I'm not finding any of it funny.
Go ahead.
All these attic pictures and all these basement pictures, yes, maybe some of these are stuff that was left from behind.
I'm talking about the refrigerator, the garbage.
No, we put the garbage out. A lot of this stuff came from the attic that her brother destroyed, and it was from a ton of stuff was left up in the attic that I couldn't even use.
I'm not talking about the attic. Let's
Okay.
not talk
Well,
about the
that's
attic. Let's talk
pictures
about
of
the
this.
kitchen. Let's talk about the
Okay.
stove.
The stove wasn't hers, and it was broken. She knew it was broken.
What about the garbage?
The garbage is not all mine.
Whose is it?
Which came from the upstairs in the basement that she packed
to me.
up. Are you kidding me?
You said when
Shh. Refrigerator in the freezer?
No.
Hmm?
No.
Food in the refrigerator and the freezer was yours.
Yeah.
The dirty stove inside was
There was
you.
a
Shh, listen to me. The
Okay.
stove was used by you for 5 years?
No, it was broken.
So you didn't have a stove for 5 years?
No, not the oven part. The top of it worked, yes. There was a fire
You
at
have-
the bottom of it.
When you say that somebody else's stuff was in the basement, whose stuff was in the basement?
Her brother had lived there previously before I did. There was stuff in the basement from him, all of his
That you
leftover
left
stuff.
there,
and
just a
his-
second, that you left there for 5 years?
She brought a dumpster over there and we did clean out. I helped her personally clean out a ton of it, but yes, there was still some left in there.
And so what you're telling me is this mess down here was her brother's stuff that had been there for 5 years?
Absolutely.
Okay, can I see the video, please?
The water on the basement floor is from our washing machine being moved. That I can admit to.
that's not
But-
true either. Your Honor, that is where there was a carpet and it was so badly contaminated with urine from cat smell that I had to replace it, and egg yolk that someone egged and candle waxed the inside of the entire house, up and down all the walls. That stove that was not the same stove that was in there. I've gotten her 2 stoves since then and 2 refrigerators. That one she chose to have because her father gave her it. That's a busted out window in the kitchen, busted out one in the back door, which she said her son put his hand through when he was running through the house.
No, I said my son accidentally bumped into when he
Well,
was
your son
running into
did
the house.
whatever he did.
He accidentally hit it, and I told you that 3 years ago, and you said you would fix it.
Why didn't you fix it?
She told me she would do.
And why didn't you fix it?
That's exactly why I didn't, because she told me it was her son.
I'm asking a question. So if your son did it, so why didn't you fix it?
This is graffiti that is written all over the garage by her husband and his band, complaining about neighbors because the cops were called several times due to complaints.
Well, you
of
don't know who
noise.
wrote it.
Well, it's got their names on it.
We didn't do that, Your Honor.
Do you think she did it to her own property?
No, I don't believe that she did it to her own property. And she also told me that she didn't believe that I did it either. And she told me that I was the last one there, so I was the one that she was going to blame because I had no proof that it was anybody else. So I took pictures. There was broken windows as well, pictures of the house that she promised to put siding and to paint. I've lived there for 5 years and she's done nothing.
We're not talking about whether you chose to stay at a place that didn't have new siding for $600
Exactly.
a month. Listen to me quietly. Is what you're saying that the destruction to the house was between the time you moved your things out and the couple of days and she saw it?
Yes.
Well, how do you think somebody got in there?
I believe through the broken window.
You do?
Yes, I do.
You do. That's your responsibility. You should have fixed the broken window.
No, just not that window. The window on the side. Not the one from the door. the window on the side of the house. That I can...
Is what you're telling me, madam, that you lived there for 5 years and nobody vandalized the house, but in 2 days after you moved out, in 2 days after you moved out, somebody chose those 2 days to come in and do all those things to the house? Is that what you're suggesting to me?
I am. And my mom was there to clean on Easter Sunday, and she cleaned the whole place with my husband. She did all the cleaning. And when I went in there on Tuesday...
She didn't do a good job.
Well, I went in there on Tuesday, and...
You didn't do a good job of cleaning.
I didn't do a perfect job, Your Honor, but the garbage was out, the eggs were not there, the other things that Vicki is claiming, such as, excuse me, I'll stand, such as the ceiling fan being broken and everything else, that was not there at the time. Maybe I didn't do a perfect job cleaning. It's not my responsibility to clean up after my daughter. I keep my own place clean. But the destruction itself was not there. Some of the more destructive things were not there, okay? That's all I can say.
Maybe she didn't do it. Maybe her did it. I don't know who did it.
I don't either.
But it was done during her tenancy because she was there during the month of April. During the month of April, she is responsible for the house. She was responsible for paying rent for starting April 1st in the amount of $620, and she was responsible to see to it that the house was kept in a reasonable state. Now, who is this person over here?
This is the neighbor that lives across the street from where Kelly resided. When I went in and I saw how much damage was done, I was very distraught. I came out, I was on my cell phone. I called the cops, was back and forth. She was on her way out to work at the same time. She used to live there when I lived there. And she came over and she said to me, Vicki, what's going on?
Okay, step up. Tell me your name.
Jacqueline Bergen.
Ms. Bergen, what do you know about the condition of the house on or about the 15th to the 18th of April?
Well, over the weekend of the 15th, Kelly and her husband and them did move out of the home. On Tuesday, it was probably approximately about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was backing out of my driveway.
Tuesday is what date?
April 17th, I believe it is.
Okay.
And I was backing out of my driveway, and I had seen Vicki over there in the driveway. She was walking up and down the driveway. She had her cell phone. And I had gone over and I said, hey, Vic, I see your tenants had moved out over the weekend. So Vicki had asked me, she goes, did you see the damage to the house? I says, no. She goes, will you come in with me? I said, sure. And I walked through the whole house with her. She used to have a stepdaughter that lived there. And her...
Who?
Kelly. And my daughter and her daughter used to hang out. Her daughter's name was Brianna. And a lot of that stuff in that attic belonged to Brianna. We found shoes that had Brianna's name written down the side of them. School papers. There was pictures in the attic of Kelly and Chuck. There was CDs from the band that her husband had upstairs in the attic.
And this was on the 17th?
On the 17th. And I'm the one that went through and took pictures with Vicki. And then on the back porch, which there is a picture of, she says all the garbage was removed. It might have been removed out of the house, but it was put onto the back porch and left there. There's empty Budweiser boxes. There's bags of trash. And then on Wednesday, me and another girl and Vicki were all over there cleaning, and then that's when Alta came over too and started in with the cleaning. And she said that Kelly would be back that night to help us. And Kelly has not been over there since.
Okay, thank you.
Judge Judy?
Yeah.
I did call her and tell her that I would like to give her her keys back and do the walkthrough. I had to leave her a message.
What date?
This would be on Monday because Sunday was
Date?
Easter. 17th?
16th. But she said the 17th was Tuesday.
No, 17th was Monday.
17th was Monday. So on the 17th, you wanted to do a walkthrough, but you hadn't taken.
I called her. No, I had called her. I had my mom and my husband was over there on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, taking the garbage out. The garbage was to be picked up on Monday morning. I don't know if I was not there, so I don't know if all the garbage had made it out on Monday morning. I called her and left her a message. She called me back and left a nasty message on my phone on Tuesday saying that the cops were there and everything, and I can play it if...
I don't need it.
Okay.
At least some of the stuff that was upstairs in the attic belonged to Brianna. It belonged to her brother. It didn't belong to any of her relatives. I believe her. She has absolutely
and
no...
her son, spent the night in my house every weekend. He can contest that. She knows that my house was not dirty, and I was...
Listen to me. I think that you left the house a mess.
Okay.
I think that there was a lot of messy stuff left there. And I also think that either you, your son, your husband, or whatever did some nasty writing on the wall. There's no question in my mind that that happened. Now, that isn't worth thousands of dollars, that's worth a good cleanup. And if you had, at the time of your tenancy, had a security deposit, that security deposit probably, or should have been, something like 2 months' rent.
Right.
So at the time that you started, your rent was $590. Is that right?
Yes.
$1,180 plus the $320 that you owe her.
Your Honor, if I may show you just estimates as to what the damage
Listen
exactly
to me.
is.
When you rent a house to somebody, you have a responsibility. Your responsibility is to see to it ongoing, that there isn't the kind of damage that you claim exists over 5 years.
Okay.
And you're not going to wait until the end of the tenancy and say, I want new carpeting, I want new appliances, I want the place freshly painted. You have to do that. That's what an owner does to their property. But certainly someone who leaves the apartment should leave it broom swept, clean, and in reasonable condition. I'm not talking about new carpeting, cleaning the carpeting, doing anything like that. And you have to be a little vigilant, because if what you say is that she was a friend of yours, you should have been in that house more frequently at the end of every year to see to it what was done. And you can't tell me now, after 5 years, that you want a whole redo on your house, but you're entitled to have it left clean. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Monica Roth says former friend Justin Judy backed her car into another vehicle. Justin claims it was a drunken Monica who was behind the wheel.
Ms. Roth, it is your claim that you were at a party, the defendant was at a party, he moved your car, and he did so without asking you, and he dented it. The defendant says that it was you who were drunk, moved your own car, and dented it yourself. That's your defense, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was this party at your house?
Yes, it was, ma'am.
How many people did you have at the party?
20, 25.
How old are you?
I'm 20, going on 22, 21 right now.
Well, hopefully if I let you, you'll be 22. Right now you're 21. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
I live with my witness here and another person.
So you have 2 roommates?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm in construction.
What night of the week was this?
I think it was a Friday night or, yeah, Friday night.
Okay. And did you know Miss Roth before your party?
Yes, I did.
All right, Miss Roth, were you present when the defendant got into your car?
No, I was not. I was inside.
Who was?
My witness, Tita, was in the car.
Tell me your name.
Tita Chewin.
Miss Chewin, did you know the defendant prior to this evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was there drinking at the party?
Yes.
Any drugs at the party?
No.
None that you saw?
Not that I saw.
But drinking?
Yes.
All right, tell me what happened with the car.
We went outside to...
Who's we?
The 3 of us. We went outside to grab CDs, and it was a summer night, so we had tank tops on and skirts, and we wanted to grab shirts to put over. So we went out to the car, she grabbed her CDs, I grabbed my shirt, I put it on, she went back inside the house, and she left the keys for me. So I was in the passenger seat getting ready to leave, and he claims the truck in front of him needed to be moved, so he hopped in, and I told him, Monica...
Okay, he said that the car that you were in had to be moved?
Yes.
Okay.
The car was on accessories, but it wasn't, the engine wasn't on. He started it and...
Don't speak!
He started it and slammed on the gas without even looking behind him. And before he started the car, I told him, Monica would not want you driving her car. It's brand new. She doesn't even let us drive her car. I've known her since elementary school. We're really close. And he just slammed on the gas without even looking behind him, and I told him, don't you want to look behind you? And next thing I know, there's a big crash, and he jumps out of the car.
Did he say anything to you?
No, he just jumped out.
Did he put the car in park and jump out? Did he turn it off?
He pulled it up really quick so she wouldn't know, and then jumped out of the car.
So first he went backwards.
Yep, and then he pulled it up.
So he changed gears?
Yes.
I just want to go step by step with me. So let's go step by step. First, it was in reverse.
Yep, and he slammed on the gas, hit the car, was like startled, and then he pulled it up back to where she had been parked, so it looked like her car wasn't moved, and hopped out of the car really quick.
And didn't say anything to you?
No.
So what did you do?
I was in shock, and then she came in, ran up to the window because she was across the street.
Tell me your name.
Keely Hartman.
Ms. Hartman, did you witness this?
I just heard a crash. I didn't see it actually happen.
But you heard the sound?
I heard the sound.
Did you see the defendant?
I saw someone running away from the car, and that's when I ran over immediately because I saw it was Monica's car.
But you didn't see who it was?
I didn't.
Didn't see a face, or you didn't see whether it was a man, woman?
I saw a shadow running from the car.
Okay. Did the defendant say anything to you when you went back inside?
I peeked inside the window of the driver's side door, and I saw her in the passenger seat, and I looked and I saw nobody in the driver's seat, and I go, where's Monica? And she just said she's in the house. That's when I looked over and I saw Justin crouching over by the bumper, and he said to me, don't tell her it's not a big deal, it's not even noticeable. And that's when I ran inside and grabbed Monica.
Okay, so he said to you, don't tell her, it's not a big deal, it's not even noticeable.
Yes.
How long have you known the defendant?
A couple years.
Have had any problem with him? No. You like him?
Do I like him?
Yeah, I mean, like him as a person. He's okay, isn't he? Yeah. What about you?
Before this incident, I thought he was great.
Thought he was great. Never had any problem with
Nope.
him. Thank you. You can be seated.
Thank you.
Yes. It's your turn. Did you get a turn?
All those girls are lying.
Stop!
They were-
Listen to me. Listen to me very, very carefully, sir. I make a judgment as to who's lying.
Okay.
You have the opportunity, if you wish, to explain to me your version of the events that evening.
Okay.
I assume you brought this gentleman because he has something to contribute to this case.
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Your name is?
James.
James, you have a last name.
Johnson.
How old are you?
22.
Do you have parents?
Yes.
Do they like you?
Sometimes.
I want you to think about them when making a decision to testify, James.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
Okay. Let me hear.
Okay, in my defense. July 9th, we were having a... These girls showed up to my house intoxicated, had parked her car behind a truck of my friends, asked her to move it. She moved it, backed into the car that was behind her, which was the black one.
And you saw all this?
Yeah, I was out in the street telling... Everybody was about ready to leave. The whole part of the heart, you know, it was
And
like...
you saw all of this?
Yeah, I saw the whole thing.
Go ahead.
I was in the street talking to a bunch of friends, and, you know, that happened. That transpired. And then she decided to leave belligerently, circle the block, and then come back, screaming, raving, whatever. She was intoxicated and all that stuff.
So you had a party at your house. Did you serve alcohol?
No,
or did the
not to
people
them.
bring out? Shh. Did you serve alcohol or did the people bring alcohol?
They brought their own.
You just provided the site.
Yes, I just presided the area for people to party. But everybody at my house was 21, minus these 3 girls.
You mean I just happened to be fortunate enough to pick the 3 girls who were underage at your house?
Yes, ma'am. But they were intoxicated before they showed up to my house.
You want to speak?
Sure.
Who do you live with?
Justin, Judy, and another roommate.
So you lived together. And how long have you lived together?
For about a year and a half.
You know these 3 girls?
I know them from being at my house that night. I'd never even known them before.
What time did the party start?
Between 9 and 10 o'clock.
When did you start drinking?
Between 9 and 10 o'clock.
What were you drinking?
Beer.
What time did these girls arrive?
I'm not totally sure on that. I actually did not see them arrive. I didn't see them arrive. I didn't know they were there until well after they were there.
And what time was that?
Between 10 and 11 o'clock.
So the party was only going on for an hour?
Possibly.
What do you mean possibly?
I'm not sure. It was.
How many beers did you have between 9 and 10 o'clock?
Couple.
Couple could be 2 or 5.
Between 2 and 5.
What kind of work do you do?
Construction.
You work for the same place?
No. I install windows in residential housing. He seals driveways.
Seals them. Doesn't steal them. He seals them.
Yes.
So now, I want you to tell me what you saw.
Okay, I was...
No!
Sorry. I was at the party, and I was walking out.
What time?
It was late. I don't know.
Give me an idea.
Probably between 12 and 1.
Okay, so between 12 and 1. So let's say between 9 and 10 you had between 2 and 5 beers.
Yes.
And I would assume that once you had between 2 and 5, you lost track.
Nah, I didn't finish my 12-pack.
How much was left over?
2 or 3.
So maybe you had 10 beers.
Yeah, probably.
So now tell me what happened after midnight.
Well, after I came outside, I had seen Monica get in the car, back up, and bump into the other car. And it wasn't that big of an accident, so nobody really made a big deal out of it. And I seen her get out of the car, have a little conversation with him, and then I seen her get back in the car and drive away. It didn't happen all that quick, but that's the sum of it. Yes.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Don't you feel like a jerk? Let me see the estimate on the car, please. And picture of the car? Yep. What kind of a car did he hit?
Cougar. It was a black car, that's all.
Cougar?
I'm pretty sure it was a Mercury Cougar.
You know who it belonged to?
It was this kid, Jeremy. And
He didn't even tell him that he hit his car.
But did you tell him?
He came out, and I think Keely or someone told him. I wasn't.
Who told the cougar that his car got hit? Anybody?
I didn't. Well,
Nobody told him.
Shh.
I don't think I didn't tell him. He heard from the people inside that someone's car had been hit, so he ran outside and saw that it was his car and was furious with Justin.
Is the cougar man a friend of yours?
Yes, he's a very good friend of mine, actually.
How come he's not here?
He's
How come he's not here?
working.
Is he overseas? Is he fighting in the military?
He couldn't
Huh?
make it.
Couldn't make it.
No.
Too bad for you. He's a very good friend of yours. Seemed to me a very good friend. Instead of bringing this one over here, I certainly would have brought the person whose car... I'm speaking. I would have brought the person whose car was hit to testify that they know that it wasn't you who hit their car, it was somebody else who hit their car. Put your hand down.
He's the only one that saw it, though. The guy who owned the car did
You
not see
see how
anything.
many witnesses they have here, too? See what you have on your side? Stop shaking your foot. It's making me nervous.
The guy whose car that she hit was not around and did not see it, did not know it happened until later in the night.
Your Honor, I have phone calls from Justin saying he will pay me the money and that he's so sorry that he did it, and he is doing everything he can to get me my money, and he just wants to pay cash, and he doesn't want to go to court.
You have them here?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I'd like to
I
hear
can
that.
call my voicemail.
Oh, sure, I'd like to hear that.
You can, yeah, please. It's her phone. She's gonna. There's two of them.
Ooh, I love to be right.
You've pressed an incorrect key. To disconnect, press 1. To record your message, press 2. Sorry you were having trouble. Please try again.
It's okay.
Can I try one more time?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
I have all the time in the world.
Sorry.
Oh, just a sec. Before you do that, before we connect, you want to say anything else to me, Justin?
Like what?
Like I may have made that
I did that to help her out because it was on my property.
I'm speaking. Is there anything else that you want to say to me before we try to connect with this phone call?
I've said what I've had to say.
All right.
You've got my defense statement, so I'm sticking with that. That's what it is.
Go.
First saved message sent Friday, August 20 a.m.
Monica, it's Justin. I got your text message. I'm not trying to avoid you. I've been busy working a lot. We're really busy right now. Plus, I have another job. I'm trying to work as much as possible to get you your money. I do want to
that out of help.
Shut up! I don't want to take this shit to court. I'm not trying to avoid you. So, I don't know. I got to work till midnight tonight. Give me a call whenever.
And
I have one more.
resave. Next message sent Friday, August 5th at 9:11 p.m.
Monica, I'm calling you again because I'm trying to set up some sort of payment plan with you because I've been working a lot. I have 2 jobs. And yeah, so call me back and let me know what's up. I don't want to take the court. I'd rather pay you in cash and get it dealt with. Call me back.
End.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $967.53. That is for the repair on the car, damage to the vehicle. If I could add another couple of thousand to that for just being 2 wise guys, I would. You're an embarrassment, and you're an embarrassment to yourself and your parents. That's all.
22-year-old Amy Freshley is suing former friend Herman Velasquez for rental car charges and for damages to the vehicle. Herman claims he owes Amy nothing.
Miss Freshley, you had an automobile accident.
Yes.
You knew the defendant, who was a mechanic, and you entered into an agreement with him that he would fix your car.
Right.
And according to you, your agreement was that the car would be ready in a week or 5 days. If it went over that, he was going to compensate you for the rental car.
Exactly.
Now, the car wasn't ready on time. He was supposed to pay for the additional days.
Right.
In addition to that, it is your claim that he took the rental car.
Exactly.
Which, for some reason, you left at his shop, drove it, and caused damage to it, and you were being charged by Enterprise Rental Car for the damage that you ascribed to him.
Exactly.
Okay. The car you were in an accident with was a 95 Tahoe?
Yes.
Is that your car?
Yes.
Alone?
Me and my boyfriend's car.
Who purchased it?
We both did.
You have insurance?
Yes.
Did the insurance pay for the accident?
Yes.
How much?
$4,045.
Who did they pay that to?
Paid it to me and my boyfriend.
Did you take the money?
I took the money and paid Herman $2,800.
They paid you $4,000 for something that he fixed for $2,800?
Yep.
And it never dawned on you to take the rest of the money and give it back to them?
They didn't ask for it back. They said they wouldn't pay for the rental, so I figured I'd use also some of that for a rental because I wouldn't have a car for a week.
Okay. So let us say he took the car, which you acknowledge. He took the car.
Yeah.
Don't acknowledge that you had an accident with it or that you damaged it.
No.
But you acknowledge you took it.
Yeah.
So let's say $2,800 is what he charged you for the car.
Yes.
Plus you say that he should be responsible $340 for the additional days that the car was rented
Yes.
when he didn't have it fixed on time.
Yes.
Right? Plus $340. Plus $701 for damage to the car.
Yes.
That's $38.41. Did you have any other expenses by virtue of this accident that you had?
No.
Well, my calculations are that you're still ahead $200 from what you scammed out of the insurance company. You expect me to give you more money? What are you looking at me? Am I speaking some sort of a foreign
No,
language
I just
that you don't understand?
expected to be paid for a car that I rented, and he said he'd pay for the extra week.
You didn't pay for the extra week. Your insurance company did. Think of it this way. On what date did you have the accident? March 29th?
Yes.
March 29th. On March 29th, you started off with a car that was in good running order.
Yes.
Right? And zero in the bank. On April 15th, you had $4,045 in the bank from the insurance company.
Yes.
2 weeks later, you had your car back, you had rented a car, and you still have an extra $200 in your bank. Now, what you want me to do is give you the extra $200, plus you want him to pay you $1,100.
Yes, I would.
That means that at the end of this accident, you have your car,
it doesn't
and an
matter
extra $1,300. Insurance isn't supposed to make you rich, madam. It is supposed to compensate you for your damage.
But that wasn't the deal when I had rented.
The deal that you entered into with your insurance company is to be an honest insured. I'm speaking. The deal that you entered into with your insurance company is that if you had an accident, they were going to compensate you for the reasonable cost of having your car fixed. And the reasonable cost of you having your car fixed was $2,800.
That's because he told me that's how much it was going to cost.
So why didn't you tell that to the insurance company?
I did. He actually wrote up something higher than what he was going to charge me.
And did you tell the insurance company that he did
No.
that? Let me tell you all about the doctrine of clean hands. The doctrine of clean hands is something that we learned very early on in law school. It says that when a citizen comes into court and asks the court to hear their case, they can't come in with dirty hands, which means they can't come in being wrong, scamming somebody and saying, well, he's a worse scammer than I am. Why won't you help me? What he did was worse. I had a deal with him. We had a deal that he was going to jack up the cost of fixing the car. He was going to have the adjuster come to his place and say it needs this and this and this and this and this. And he was going to get $2,800 to fix it, and I was going to end up pocketing the rest, which was $1,000 or whatever. And the only one that was going to be out is the insurance company, and they got plenty of money anyway. So, madam, you get from me nothing. Zippo, nada, except a lesson in morality. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Rebecca Thompson is suing the mother of her son's schoolmate, Miranda Peters, for medical bills. Rebecca says Miranda's boy broke her son's arm while roughhousing.
Your son? Yes, ma'am. Next to you. Who was the basketball player? What's your first name?
Keith.
And yours?
Michael.
Your arm got broken in school.
Yes, ma'am.
Your arm got broken when he bumped into you.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I was trying to get into the game, and pretty much...
When did this happen?
March 17th of 04.
You were trying to get into what game?
In PE that day, it was pretty much a free day, and I was trying to get into the game, and they were pretty much just shoving me off.
Who was?
All the players. So I would steal the ball and run away with it, trying to be funny, and all the players would chase me.
So what I'm hearing is neither team wanted you to play that day, so you decided to play class clown and steal the ball and interrupt their game.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened next?
Well, all the players pretty much chased me down and eventually got it from me. And while I was standing in the crowd, he gestured for the other players to clear a path to me. And when he did, he tossed the ball at me. And whenever I saw it was coming at me, I just tensed up and turned, and it hit me in my left hip.
Didn't hurt you?
No, ma'am.
And then what happened?
I just sort of walked up to him. Behind him was a gym mat, pretty thick and soft. So I wrapped my arms around him and purposely fell onto the gym mat. Everybody was laughing, and he did the same thing to me. And
you wrestled him, then he wrestled you to the ground, to the mat.
It was not an act of anger.
Okay. So you weren't angry with him?
No, ma'am.
And you don't think he was angry with you?
No, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened next?
Well, there was a rolled-up gym mat close to the compacted bleachers to the wall, and I got in between that and just for the thrill of not being seen, and about 10 or 15 minutes.
I don't understand what that means. Just for the thrill of not being seen.
Just a childly...
No, well, what were you doing?
Nothing.
You mean you were hiding?
Yes, ma'am.
Who were you hiding from?
Nobody.
Keith.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, I'm getting a whole good story. I love this story so far. He wasn't angry with you, you weren't angry with him, but now you're hiding someplace and you're not hiding from anybody.
Well,
that doesn't sound like you could...
Well, I mean, me and my friend Anthony were both doing it, and he was behind another one to the right of me, and about...
What were you doing?
Just hiding.
Just hiding?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And, well, I tried to get out, and I pulled... It was kind of tight in there, so I was trying to wheeze my way out, and I pulled my my left arm across my chest, and about that time I just felt the mat be shoved into me.
The mat being shoved into you by
Michael.
And that's how you broke your arm?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Michael, what happened?
I rammed the mat. I wasn't intentionally trying to break his arm. I was just horseplaying with him like we were earlier. And
so you were horseplaying?
Yeah.
You knew he was there?
Yes, ma'am.
You knew he was there?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Miss Peters, your defense to this says, let me read it so that I make sure I get your language clear. I told her that with children, and particularly with boys, these things happen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain that to me.
The reason I said that boys will be boys and that it wasn't my responsibility to pay for the bills was because it was an accident. He didn't mean to do it.
It wasn't an accident, Ms. Peters. That's your problem, you see. If your son was playing a game and during the course of the game he ran into this structure, not intending to come into contact with Keith at all, but it was during the course of a game and he was at a place where he could get hurt, that's an accident. But that's not what your son told me. Your son told me he saw him there and he was just fooling around with him and rammed him. Unfortunately, when he rammed him, his arm was in such a position that it broke. Right. So his action, not in breaking his arm, I don't think he intended to break his arm, of course not. But he intended to hit him. And for that, he is responsible. Just as if his leg, when he tackled him to the mat, horseplay. But when young people are involved in horseplay, and if you had broken his leg, who would have been responsible?
I would have.
You're right. What were your medical expenses?
Before or after insurance?
After insurance.
After insurance, the total was $706.07.
I'm not saying that your son bears any responsibility with regard to this incident, but I believe he has to know that when 10 people are playing basketball, you're not supposed to act like a jerk, right?
Yes, ma'am. We've already established that.
Good. You know, Michael, sometimes when you do the wrong thing, things happen. There are consequences, even those that you don't anticipate. You got to start being a two-process thinker and say, listen, if I do this, this could happen. It's not worth it. Being a fool is not worth it. Being a fool isn't worth it. How long was your arm in a cast?
6 weeks.
And this happened in March, so it was during school.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't even get to relax. When did you get the cast off?
I'm not sure.
End of April.
So you got a chance to enjoy the summer.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You still friends?
I think so.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. Judgment for the plaintiff in that $706.
Helen Levi says her daughter's ex-boyfriend, Dion Burdette, crashed 2 of her cars. Helen says on the second occasion, Dion was driving drunk.
What's your first name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, this used to be your boyfriend?
Yes.
Your mother's complaint is that on 2 separate occasions involving 2 separate cars that she bought for you, you allowed Mr. Wonderful over here to drive the cars and he totaled them.
Yes.
The first incident, there was insurance, and there was a $500 deductible. Second instance, she bought you another car. You again allowed, what's your first name?
Dion.
Dion, to drive the car because you don't learn from your mistakes. And he totaled the second car.
Yes.
Then you decided you had enough.
Yes, that's correct.
When was the first accident, Dion?
January 26th.
Tell me about that.
I asked her to leave me the car in case
Were
I
you
needed to
living
go.
together?
Yes.
How long had you been living together?
Approximately 6 months.
You asked her to leave the car. Why?
In case I needed to go somewhere because I didn't have insurance on my vehicle at the time.
Where was she going?
She was going to school.
And what were you doing that day?
I just sat at home all day until I went to pick her up and had an accident.
Was that a weekday?
Yes.
Well, were you going to school at the time?
No, I wasn't.
Were you working at the time?
No, I wasn't.
Why not?
I'm not really sure, Your Honor.
Well, how long was it that you weren't working, Dion?
Approximately 3 months.
Who was supporting you? Get her a copy of that book, Beauty Fades, Dumb as Forever. You were supporting him?
I wasn't really supporting him. My parents were helping me pay the rent. I was just helping him out.
So your parents were supporting him?
They were.
News to me.
See what you find out? What do you do for a living?
I'm a housewife.
And your husband?
He's an investment representative.
So he works?
Yes, he does. Very hard.
How long have you been married?
22 years.
In the 22 years that you've been married, how many months has your husband been out of work?
None.
Never?
Never.
Right? Never. How old are you?
22 years old, Your Honor.
Before you moved in with Jennifer, where were you living?
At my parents' house, Your Honor.
What does your father do?
He is an airplane mechanic at O'Hare Airport in Chicago.
Do you ever remember a time when your father sat around eating bonbons for 3 months and not working?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Why do you think that is, Dion?
Because he has children to pay for, Your Honor.
Because he likes to eat.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like to live in the street.
No.
Now, when you left your parents' house, were you working?
Yes, I was.
Where were you working?
Cub Foods.
Doing what?
I was in the meat department, cashier. Dairy
What happened to that job?
I lost it.
Why?
Due to too many absences.
Why were you absent?
I was sick, road conditions, stuff like that happens.
What was wrong with you?
I had the flu, I mean.
For 3 months?
No, not for 3 months, but I mean, I was out of work for 3 months.
All right, now let's get to the first accident, Dion, because I've tortured you about your responsibility in growing up long enough, because even I'm getting bored with it. I don't know if I'm getting through to you, sir. If you want to be a grown-up and live out on your own, you have to work. 22 years old, still not fully cooked, probably, but that doesn't mean you live off the kindness of strangers. She's a stranger to you. She has her own children, and if she's supporting her daughter, and if her husband is supporting her daughter, they don't have to support you, too.
That's true.
Thank you. So you asked her to leave you the car just in case she wanted to go looking for a job that day.
True.
I almost forgot how entertaining this could be. Sort of forgot how dumb people can be. All right, so you kept the car so you could go and look for a job, but you didn't go and look for a job. Where did you go, Dion?
I didn't go anywhere.
You mean the car had an accident in the house? How did that happen? Explain that to Officer Byrd. He would really like to hear that.
I was on my way to pick her up from school, Your Honor.
Had you gone anywhere else that day?
No, I haven't.
You just stayed home and watched Oprah?
Yeah, I guess. That's what you say.
No, you tell me what you did.
Oh, well, I didn't watch Oprah, but
What
I
did you watch?
TV.
You watched me.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. Like I said, like
you would have
said,
watched me more frequently, Dion, you would never be here today. Never.
That's true.
Happened.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so you went to pick her up from school, and what happened?
I was at a four-way stop. I stopped at the stop sign, looked both ways, looked forward. Nobody was going. So I started going. Here comes a car. Bam. Took off the front end, airbags, everything.
Okay, so this car came out of nowhere.
Well, it was sitting at the stoplight, at a stop sign, when I looked left, and it wasn't going. So I just barely tapped on the gas, just started going, and then here comes this Mustang out of nowhere.
The plaintiff says you got a ticket for failing to yield.
True.
So then I guess the accident was your...
No.
Did you pay the ticket?
No, I didn't.
Did you have a trial?
Yes.
Were you found guilty or not guilty?
I didn't go.
Well, if you didn't go, then you were found guilty.
No, I wasn't, because they still got the insurance money. I proved
We're not
my
talking
point.
about insurance money, we're talking about ticket. You got a ticket for failure to yield. My question is a very simple one, Dion. You have to pay attention. I know you've been resting your brain for a long time, so you should be able to pay attention to what I'm saying to you. Ticket. Did you pay the ticket?
No, I didn't pay the ticket.
Was the ticket dismissed?
Yes.
Was it dismissed after a hearing?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't even want to go there anymore. Right? All right. So that's the first accident. And that car was totaled. You had a $500 deductible.
Correct.
When your daughter called you and told you that the boyfriend had totaled the car, what did you say to her?
I didn't know the boyfriend had totaled the car right at first. It was some time before I found all the facts.
She told you she had totaled the car?
She said it had been wrecked.
How did she tell you it had been wrecked?
It went through a stop
It went through a
intersection. The road conditions were icy, had a lot of ice on the road.
Who did she tell you was driving?
I finally dragged it out of her that he had been driving.
Did you lie to your mother, Jennifer?
I had just told her that I was the one who got in the wreck because I didn't want to have to
deal with...
Yeah, I didn't want to deal with the whole...
All right, now that was January 26th. And then you said, okay, I'm going to get her another car because she needs a car to go to school.
Right.
How much money does your husband make?
Not enough to be buying her a car every year or two because he wrecked it.
Now, when did you wreck this second car, Dion?
On or about May 20th.
Tell me about that.
I had dropped Jennifer off at approximately 10 o'clock p.m.
Where?
At her friend's house. Told her specifically...
Was this a Saturday or a Sunday?
Saturday.
Where were you working then?
I was, believe...
That's not so long ago, sir. Where are you working now?
Painting.
Portraits? Houses?
No,
What?
houses.
Houses. You're going to have to stop paying me if you enjoy this job so much. When did you start painting houses?
3 months ago.
So that would bring you into June. Now, so in May, were you working?
No, I wasn't. I was in search of a job due to previous legal problems.
What kind of legal problems?
Truthfully?
No, I want you to lie to me.
I mean, I can if you want me to. I'm not going to,
Don't
though.
be a wise guy, sir. I will grind you into the carpet. Go ahead.
I got a felony and
For
about
what?
distributing marijuana, 1 ounce, 10 to 30 grams.
That's what you were doing. Now I understand. In between painting and meatpacking, you were distributing marijuana.
No, I did a favor for somebody that I thought was a friend and obviously wasn't, and told on me, and I got in trouble for it.
So it was
the
somebody
middleman.
else's fault?
No, it wasn't anybody else's fault but my own for trusting somebody else.
So you were doing a favor for somebody, you weren't going to get paid for it.
Right.
You weren't going to get a piece of the action
No.
for it. At least if you were selling it and making some money, I could understand that. You're a real idiot. All right. So now you're looking for a job. And in May, you drop her off at a friend's house and told her...
Specifically that I was going to a local bar and I have a few drinks and I'd be home early. Turns out I had a few too many and got a DUI. I blew up .242, had a fatal accident, could have ended my life. Life-changing experience.
Just a second. Wasn't fatal?
No, it wasn't fatal. I mean,
You have
it
to
could have
watch
been.
your words with
Right.
me. You have to watch your words.
Sorry.
You didn't kill
Let me
anybody.
read it. No, I didn't kill anybody, but it could have easily happened. I ran into a pole going 70 miles an hour.
So why aren't you responsible for the car, sir?
She willingly gave me the car knowing I was going to the bar. I didn't pressure her. I didn't put a gun to her head and say, give me the car. She said, okay, be back early. And I accept full responsibility for drinking and driving.
That's okay, because I'm going to enjoy this. Just go ahead and do your thing.
So your defense is that it was not your fault that you were given the car because she should have said, you can't take the car if you're going to drink. Leave the car here and go, take a bus to go to the bar.
I accept full responsibility for drinking and driving. I'm paying for it dearly. I have the papers right here to prove it.
How are you paying for it?
I have 100 hours community service. I have $1,900 in fines, and I lose my license for a year or maybe more.
Well, how does that help Miss Levi?
I've given Jennifer $600 already.
You've given her $6, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So you accept responsibility for this accident. It's not Jennifer's fault.
No.
Jennifer is stupid.
It's not Jennifer's
Jennifer's going to read the book, cover to cover, backwards and forwards. Don't hook yourself up with a loser. If you hook yourself up with a loser, you're a loser. What kind of school are you going to?
At the moment, I'm just working full-time. I'm trying to save money so I can go back to school.
If you're going to school and moving forward and your family is trying to help you get there, you don't hook up with a loser who's unemployed. You don't hook up with was he arrested for this distributing marijuana while he was living with you?
No, that was way before I met him.
But you knew about it?
I did find out about it eventually.
Well, it seems to me Dion kept a lot of things from you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,400. Thank you. That's all.
21-year-old Shoshana McKinney is suing her former friend, 26-year-old Deshae Thomas, for smashing her car's windshield.
All right, I have a complaint and a counterclaim. Each one of you alleges that the other vandalized their car. I gather you ladies knew each other. For some time you were friendly with each other. So why don't you tell me, Miss McKinney, when you allege Miss Thomas vandalized your car and what proof you have that she did so?
This happened on July 15th. She came to the club that I was at. She wanted to pull me out and fight me, but the doorman wouldn't let her get very far because you have to pay to get in. So when she saw that I wasn't going to come out and fight her, the witnesses say that...
Don't tell me what a witness says.
Okay. She smashed in my car windows.
Did you see her do that?
No, I did not.
Who's here that did see her do that?
No one.
Good. Did she ever admit to you that she did that?
No, she did not.
If there's no proof, Miss McKinney, there is no case. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, let's get to your counterclaim. When
it was on A16, right in front of my home.
You have any witnesses to your car being vandalized?
I saw them.
Well, tell me what you observed.
It was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I had happened to glance outside my window, and I saw a female first with like a white rag and like a big white T-shirt and some shorts and like looking like a homeless person, just like hanging around. And so I didn't think much of it. And then a couple hours went by, and I still saw that person hanging around. And then I saw that person go to a white car. And then I looked closer, and I was like, that's Shoshana in the car, and that's her. That must be her mom, because her mom has glasses and she looks like her. So I blinked my alarm, like, you know, get away from my car, and then they ran away. So I went out there, and I saw the big scratch on my car, and I said, this lady done scratched my car. That's what she was doing when she was leaning on my vehicle. So a couple hours later, they came to my door. I opened the door, and I noticed that I recognized them face to face at that point in time. Mind you, we had already had a disagreement. Shoshana had felt threatened by me because we had got into an argument, and Shoshana did a lot of things to other people besides myself. She only stole property of mine, like jewelry and clothes and stuff like that. But I just, I asked you about my stuff, Shoshana, and you lied.
We're going to keep this real simple. Is what you're telling me that on the 16th of August, you looked outside and you saw somebody hanging around your car for a long time?
Leaning on my car.
For how long were they leaning on your car?
At least an hour, and then...
1 hour. And after that hour, when she got back in a car, you went outside and looked at the car and you saw a scratch on your car.
Right.
How big was this scratch?
I'll show you pictures, Your Honor. I have pictures.
I would love to see a picture.
Please do.
You're talking about this little scratch right here?
No, that's a big scratch, Your Honor.
You're talking about this scratch. It's all the same scratch, am I correct?
It's a very big scratch. You can see the close-up.
It's right above the tire. This mark right here. So you're telling me in the hour that you say she was standing in front of your car intent on vandalizing your car, this is all the damage she did? Did you have anything to do with vandalizing her car?
No, Your Honor.
Listen to me! Did you have anything to do with vandalizing her car?
No, I did not.
Did you have anything to do with vandalizing her car?
No.
You are her mother, is that correct?
Yes.
Stand up.
Okay.
Were you at her house on the 16th of August, 2005?
Yes.
What were you doing there?
I was there to serve papers. I was
How
there
many
for a
visits
restraining order.
How many visits did you make to her house?
A 1.
And when you made the visit one time, did you serve the papers?
Yes, I did.
You were there with your daughter?
She was about a half a block away once.
Listen, stop fighting with each other. I don't know what you're mad at each other about, but vandalizing each other's cars is not a very smart thing to do. If that's what you did, there's insufficient proof that that was done. Your case is dismissed. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Goodbye. Have a happy life.
Parties are excused and they step out.
24-year-old Brandy Evans is suing Kathleen Fry and her ex-boyfriend, Patrick Leach, for damage to her car. Brandy claims Patrick was riding his bike when he crashed into her parked vehicle.
Ms. Fry, are you the neighbor of the plaintiff?
And not of the plaintiff, of the plaintiff's witness.
And this is your boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend, yes.
How long has he been your ex-boyfriend?
Since about last November.
And how long was he your boyfriend?
About 18 years.
That took you a long time to decide he wasn't the right one. Huh?
Sometimes you don't think.
Was there any particular reason why you terminated the relationship?
We just weren't getting along anymore.
Did he drink a little bit?
No, he never drank.
Never?
Before we started going out, he drank, but he never drank during our relationship.
Now, you were riding a bicycle?
Yes, ma'am.
With your girlfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Where had you been riding?
We usually rode 10 to 15 miles a night, just around our neighborhood and just around our block and so on and so forth.
And at what time of the evening did you return to the house?
It was probably between 8 and 8:30 in the evening.
So it was dark?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you always ride at night?
Yes, we did. It
You
was
have
mostly
lights
at
on
night.
your bikes?
No, we don't.
Are you supposed to?
Yes, we are.
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Do you wear a helmet?
Yes, I do.
For what?
Safety reasons, in case somebody pulls out in front of me and
Right.
Right.
That's why you have lights on bikes if you're going to be riding at night. And so tell me what happened, Mr. Leach.
Our street was very dark. It has no street lights. I was pedaling, and her car is the color of night. It blended in, and it was parked, if I could show you on the diagram, it was parked probably a little farther back, but it was, to me, it was illegally parked. And it was on a corner. I was pedaling, and I looked up, and next thing you know, under the tree, next thing you know, I hit the front end of the car.
Okay, so Mr. Leach, we are talking now about certain things that you can do nothing about, because as night follows day, that's science. And in science, it's going to get dark outside. So when you're driving a vehicle, what they do is when a vehicle is operating, they put lights on the car so that you can see where you're going after night falls, right? So it's not the night's fault that you hit the car. Now, cars can be painted in many colors. It's not the car's fault that it was painted the color of night, right?
Correct.
So it can't be the car's fault that it was that color. Now, how long do you think this big tree has been living on the corner?
I couldn't tell you.
10 years?
Since before he moved in.
Yeah.
The tree didn't move, right?
Correct.
So it can't be the tree's fault that you hit her car. And the last thing that you said was her car, you believe, was parked illegally.
True.
But the car didn't move.
Correct.
There was only one thing that was moving. Mr. Leach, that would be you.
I totally agree.
Now, Miss Evans, tell me, you were awakened to the alarm going off in your car?
No, we were watching a movie. I was over at my friend's house.
And what
It was
happened?
around 11 p.m., and I heard my alarm going off.
So the alarm did go off as a result of being hit?
Yes. So I walked out, and they weren't near my car. They were walking away from my car. And I walked down and looked at my fog light, and my fog light was broken on the ground. And I walked back up halfway to the driveway, and that's when Kathy stopped me.
Had you known her before that evening?
No.
So you never met her before?
No.
She walked up to you and said?
And said, we were riding our bikes, and my boyfriend hit your car. And I looked over at him, and he was laying on the grass with his bike.
That's not true.
And
shh, Mr. Leach. Shh, Mr. Leach, look at me.
And Kathy said she was going to run and go get her information, and that she did not want to go through the police. She did not want to go through insurance. That she wanted to pay cash. And she walked back over and said he had some to drink, and that here's her information to put estimates in her mailbox, and that she would get back to me. And she gave me her number. She gave me her work phone, her cell phone.
Miss Fry, did you write down your telephone number, your work number?
I gave her my business card.
What did you give her your business card for?
For the purpose of, I had walked over and explained that he had hit the car and that he was lying on the ground because he had hurt himself when the bike hit the car. And I said, I will get you the information and you can get estimates and the two of you can work it out. I brought her the information back over. I never stated that he was drinking because he wasn't. And I never stated that I would pay her cash because I am not the one that hit the car.
What do you want to say?
I was standing there and listened to her state that she would pay Brandy in cash to settle the matter.
Tell me your last name.
Curran.
How's Curran?
I've lived there approximately 6 years.
Okay. Mr. Leach.
Yes, ma'am.
There is no reason why Ms. Fry should take responsibility for this.
Exactly.
So if the court were going to enter a judgment, it would have to be a judgment against you.
Correct.
So that, Ms. Fry, you may sit down. Thank you. Now, sir, you're there all on your own. In 10 seconds, give me your best shot as to why you're not responsible for this.
I never said I was not responsible. I took the car. But what I am disputing is they brought over estimates for $1,400 for the car, which to me was a little outrageous. We told them to get another estimate in a local place. They've done work on our cars before, and they were more reasonable. They probably given a reasonable rate. They never went there.
Mr. Leach, let me stop.
Sure.
A second. Is it that you don't like the amount of money that she's asking for because you believe it's excessive, or that you don't believe you're responsible?
The amount of money, and then we had an estimate for $1,400 and $1,600. Now it's $1,800.
Well, now she's going to show me the estimates.
I have
and the photographs.
The first estimate that I gave them, that was for the $1,400. When I gave it to her, she asked me to go and get another one with their body, a place, and it shows it was only a month afterwards, not even a month after the accident, that I have for that quote.
Just a second. What was the name of the body shop where you wanted them to go?
Boulevard.
This is one of those from Boulevard?
Yes, and that's my third one.
Can I see it, please?
We never got that one.
We never got those.
I don't care whether you did or not. Now I have them. So am I correct? Boulevard gives you $621.72?
That was just the paint that they said. They didn't say anything about the hood. That is, I have pictures of my hood and where it's not aligned with the other side from where he fell on it. And
No, I did not fall on the hood.
I have your handlebar marks on my hood.
Well, there is damage to the hood. All right, anything you want to say?
I just, I want to know. She got an estimate from Boulevard, for just paint. Well, you know what? If to me, if I'm going to get an estimate for the body work, I'm just not going to ask for paint for the $600 and something. I'm going to say, I'm going to say, hey, it's just, I need the body work done. I don't understand that.
I went in and asked for an estimate, and that's what they gave me. I didn't ask them just to do paint.
Did you ask them for an estimate to fix it or to paint it?
To fix it. I said I needed it fixed.
The damage to this car can't be done for $600. She's got something wrong with the hood of the car that's going to have to be pulled out, painted if it's going to be done right. The $1,300 is a reasonable estimate. Okay, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,360.64. Thank you.
Thank you.
21-year-old Cassie Priber Floyd is suing her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old Andrew Higgs, for unpaid loans and for breaking her windshield with his cell phone.
According to your complaint, Cassie, the defendant, who was your boyfriend, needed some money for rent. You loaned him $300, then you had a fight, and he broke your windshield in your car. You want him to fix it, and then you want money for chauffeuring him around to various things, including seeing his daughter.
Correct.
You have a daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is she?
Year-old.
You support her?
Yes.
How much do you send?
I send at least $150 every week.
If child's mother was here, would she tell me that you spend $150 a week on your daughter?
Yes.
All right, Cassie, so let me hear about this first loan that you made him. When was it?
The first loan was May 4th.
Tell me about it.
Andrew was staying in a hotel, and his brother could not loan him any more money, and he needed money for rent to be able to stay in the hotel. So he asked me if I could loan him the money for the rent. He promised to pay me back.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
He promised to pay me back, even if he had to give me his paychecks until it was paid off. I have a witness that was there.
Where did this conversation take place?
At his hotel room.
Where were you staying at the time?
I was living in Harrisonburg.
Were you staying in the hotel?
No, I was not.
Did you ever stay in the hotel?
I stayed one night.
It's a lie.
I'm going to give you one more opportunity, then I'm going to throw you out of here, which is not a good thing. You do want to be heard, don't you?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
How many nights did you spend there, Cassie? And don't make it difficult for me.
Only one night, Your Honor.
In total?
In total.
Okay, now when was this incident with the windshield?
The windshield incident was on June 22nd.
Between May 4th and June 22nd, did he give you any money?
No.
Did you ask him about it?
I asked him pretty much every day for it. He kept saying, I need my daughter's mom child support money, or I need it for drugs. He smoked almost every single one of his paychecks.
Well, didn't that give you a clue, Cassie, that this was not the kind of person you wanted to be around?
For a while, I did stop talking to him. He called me on June 22nd, said he was having problems with his daughter's mom.
What were the problems he was having with his daughter's mother?
He was not paying her child support, and she did not want to let him see her.
What were you doing with your money?
I was paying my rent.
You smoking dope?
No.
Methamphetamines, Your Honor.
Ooh, you doing methamphetamines?
No, ma'am.
That's a kind of nasty story to make up about you.
Actually, Your Honor, we did take part in that there for a couple weeks, but she was involved just as well as I was.
So if I asked you if you were doing drugs, the answer was yes.
But the money that she loaned...
Just a sec. The answer would be yes.
Right. The money that she loaned me was actually because she was living with me at the time, and plus half that went to her nose also.
That's not true, Your Honor.
She was living down there with me because she lives house to house. She can't take care of her kids. She's been living in 7 different houses in the past year because she can't hold a job. She can't do nothing.
Where are you working now?
I'm a waitress.
Where?
At IHOP.
How long have you been there?
On and off for 4 years.
On and off doesn't tell me. How long have you been there the last stint there?
Probably about 4 months. No, give or take 3 months, 2 months. I'm sorry.
I got it.
Cassie Pryber Floyd says ex-boyfriend Andrew Higgs owes for loans and a broken windshield. Each is accusing the other of being a drug addict.
All right, my dear. Now you can tell me about the windshield.
I had picked Andrew up on June 22nd. We had gone back to one of his witnesses' houses, and everybody was drinking. He had about 2 40-size bottles of beer. Him and I had gotten into an argument. He was getting rowdy with everybody. So I told him I was going to take him home. On our way home, I received a phone call, and he got upset about the phone call and threw his cell phone up into the dash of my car, breaking and spiderwebbing my windshield.
Okay, let's hear about the windshield incident. Andrew.
We was at the witness's house drinking.
What day of the week was that?
Wednesday, I believe.
Wednesday. What time did you get there? Whose house was it? Raise your hand. What time?
7:30, 8 o'clock.
In the evening?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many children do you have? 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are they?
One is with me, and the other one was with her dad.
The one that's with you is how old?
She's 4.
And the one that's with her dad is how old?
She's 2.
Where was the one that lives with you at 7:30 in the evening on Wednesday?
Probably spending time with my father. My parents have joint custody, but I have primary physical custody. When my father and my stepmom have time, they do spend time with her.
That is not true. You got a lot of growing up to do.
Yes, I know that.
You know, her father takes care of her daughter. She gets her maybe once a month.
I got it.
I have her every day, Your Honor.
Listen to me, Cassie. When a court has to get involved and give grandparents legal custody of a child.
That's not what happened, Your Honor.
No?
Her father ended up in jail, and
yes,
I did not want him to have to fight me for custody because he was in jail. My dad and my stepmom do have joint custody of
Cassie!
for that.
That is a lot of baloney. Do you want me to tell you why?
Why?
I was a family court judge for many, many years. People in prison do not sue for custody. And the only reason grandparents get custody of children is because a parent is unable, physically or emotionally, of them. That's why a court gives grandparents custody of children. So I'm telling you, you better grow up. You two. Doing drugs jointly or independently not only is wasteful, since you work at IHOP, and you work where, sir?
I'm a truck driver.
Well, a truck driver who does methamphetamines is not a truck driver that I would like to have driving my truck or on the road.
Your Honor, I don't...
Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now tell me what happened in the car when her windshield got smashed.
She got a phone call from a witness here saying that it was another guy waiting at her house for her. And me and her got in an argument. Instead of losing my cool, I tossed her.
Don't interrupt. Sure, it's true.
I just threw my phone up against the window. And then next day, well, she went back to my witness's house and was laughing, saying that she hit me and everything. And
she hit you?
And Next day, she realized that her windshield was broken. She called me up. She's like, yeah, when you threw my phone, you broke my windshield. And she's like, well, I'm not really worried about it because 2 days later, we got back together.
All right. And then you want money for driving him around to see his daughter. Is that right? That's the last part of your lawsuit?
Yes, ma'am.
Forget it. I don't want to hear anymore. Listen, I'm going to make short work of the two of you. So far, between the two of you, you have managed to ruin your young lives yourselves and bring 3 offspring into this world, none of whom you are caring for. You have done enough damage. Grow up. The time you came here to file a case, to come here, you should have better spent doing something productive. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor,
Quiet. There isn't a question in my mind, sir, that if I were to ask the mother of your child whether each and every week she gets $150 from you, I would not get an affirmative response.
Yes, you would.
Maybe once in a while you send it. Put your hand down. Either one of you two ladies the mother?
No, but I'm...
I don't care. I just ask a question. Either one of you the mother of this child? Good. Then shut up. You get me? You made 3 babies. You tortured enough people. Grow up. Especially you. That's all. Out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Xin chào tất cả các bạn. Ở video trước thì mình đã chia sẻ với các bạn những đặc điểm khái quát về đơn hàng chế biến xúc xích tại thị trường Romania. Và ở trong video hôm nay thì mình sẽ nói rõ hơn về điều kiện để chúng ta tham gia đơn hàng chế biến xúc xích tại thị trường Romania nhé. Đầu tiên đó là giới tính nam hoặc nữ, có độ tuổi từ 20 cho đến 45 tuổi. Chiều cao nữ 1m55 và nam 1m60 trở lên. Cân nặng sẽ từ 45 kg trở lên. Các bạn không yêu cầu kinh nghiệm. Các ứng viên phải có sức khỏe tốt, không mắc các bệnh truyền nhiễm như là HIV, giang mai, không mắc viêm gan B hoặc là viêm gan C và đáp ứng được các tiêu chuẩn sức khỏe để chúng ta tham gia xuất khẩu lao động tại thị trường nước ngoài. Ngoài ra thì các ứng viên còn phải chăm chỉ hòa đồng, ham học hỏi và chịu được áp lực công việc. Các ứng viên không được có tiền án tiền sự. Ngoài ra thì chế độ lao động dành cho đơn hàng chế biến xúc xích đó chính là lương cơ bản 550 euro một tháng, thu nhập dự kiến sẽ là 850 euro một tháng. Thời gian làm việc của chúng ta sẽ là từ 8 giờ một ngày và 5 ngày một tuần, có tăng ca. Các bạn sẽ được nghỉ lễ, nghỉ phép, hưởng chế độ bảo hiểm xã hội, bảo hiểm y tế và các bảo hiểm khác theo luật của đất nước Romania. Ngoài ra thì người lao động còn được chủ lao động hỗ trợ chỗ ăn, chỗ uống và được miễn phí các bạn nhé. Vậy là trong video hôm nay thì mình đã chia sẻ đến các bạn những điều kiện, những yêu cầu chi tiết về đơn hàng chế biến xúc xích tại thị trường Romania. Ngoài ra thì còn có mức lương cơ bản mà các bạn có thể nhận được khi tham gia đơn hàng này. Và cảm ơn các bạn đã theo dõi những video của mình và hẹn gặp lại các bạn trong những video lần sau.